So the baseball world is going crazy over a play that happened the other night between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Mets. Game 2, National League Division Series, played at Los Angeles. Chase Utley of the Los Angeles Dodgers slides in to second base to break up a double play. And while he does that, some people say that the slide was illegal, was violent, was wrong. Some people said that the slide was perfectly legal. But when Utley slides into second base, he takes out Ruben Tejada of the Mets, all right? And as he does that, he breaks Tejada's leg, all right? I'm going to show you a picture right here of what happened. Comes in, slides, takes him out, breaks up the double play. During that play, apparently, the umpires call Tejada, well, as he's being escorted out, actually, they go back and they say that Utley is safe, all right? Apparently, the umpires said that it was not an illegal slide, that he did it, that he was within the rules. But the next day, Major League Baseball comes along and says, Chase Utley, you're a bad boy. You are going to be suspended for Game 3 and 4 of the series, all right? Now, there has been a lot of back and forth from Dodger fans, Met fans, baseball fans, everybody chiming in on what's going on. There's a guy named Victor who posted this on Facebook. I believe it was a Dodgers site. He said, stop trying to make baseball soft. It was a clean, hard hit. This is hard-nosed playoff baseball, and I tend to agree. Tejada shouldn't have tried to pirouette around the bag. Everyone knew Utley was going to try to do everything he could to break up the double play. That's baseball. You do everything you can to break up the double play. Now, in my estimation, what he did, according to the rules, you can break up a double play, except when you slide into a bag, you can take the runner out, but you have to be close enough to touch the bag in the process. Utley was close enough. I believe that if Tejada was facing first base, if he actually took the ball and looked towards first base, he would have saw Utley coming at him, and he would have jumped over Utley, like most players would do, as the runner's coming from first to second, to avoid him. Throw it, probably would have been safe, but he would have missed the slide, okay? Utley started sliding. Well, this guy has his back towards him. That's the reason why he couldn't jump out of the way. Now, if he slid and Utley or Tejada would have tumbled over him face first, seeing him, everybody would have said, oh, well, it's a clean play. But because Tejada didn't see him, his back was literally towards first base, he was taken out. So it made it even worse than it looked. Okay, well, the guy did break his leg. Okay, that was pretty bad. So this guy comes back to him, back to this Victor guy, and says, Victor, you are ignorant. It was Bush League play all the way. Breaking up the play is one thing. Sliding or rolling is why he did into Tejada. And he should have been out since he left the field of play without touching the bag. Well, the reason why he left the field without touching the bag is because the umpire said initially, you're out, until the review came and said, and it proved Tejada's foot was not on the bag. Somebody else comes along and says to this Victor guy, clean? It was not clean. Hard play, sure. Now, when he gets up and gets one or two in the ear hole and a Mets pitcher gets ejected, then I have an even larger problem than I did before. I'm sure they will wait until next season, but wouldn't blame them if they did it next game if this gets out of hand. Before anyone else whines about it, let's realize baseball always used to govern itself when dirt like this happened. And it's true. Baseball would govern itself. But let me tell you what's going to happen. A couple years back, there was a guy named Buster Posey. Buster Posey. And Buster Posey basically was a catcher. And some guy came in and knocked him out, literally knocked him his whole season out. He couldn't play. And baseball, the following year, comes along with this little rule. And they call it, unofficially, the Buster Posey rule. Meaning you can't barrel into the catcher like they did for 100 years. That was part of baseball. And a lot of people called it the sissification of baseball because now it's become a sissy sport. First of all, it's already slow, but now it's like, oh, there's no contact now. It's a gentleman's game. You can't knock into people. Now, mark my word, this morning, actually, it was less than 24 hours after the game was over, The next morning, as we were getting ready for church, I told my family, I said, watch. They're going to follow suit with the Chase Utley rule. And the Chase Utley rule goes a little something like this. This is what Major League Baseball is going to say. Hey guys, remember that rule that we made when Buster Posey got knocked out for the rest of the season? Why don't we implement that at first, second, and third base? Even though that stuff like that never happens at first and third. But they're just going to say, no matter what, there's no more contact. No more contact between a defensive player and an offensive player. You can't contact. You can't knock them out. You can't do any hard slides. Of course, you can't, barrel into a catcher. Now you can't barrel into anybody anymore. That's what's going to happen, and that is what we call the sissification of baseball. It is coming. Mark my words, okay? Now, the other thing, too, is Utley, I think his agent is going to try to appeal this. And they're going to go back, and they're going to go back and check out other footage to see when these things like this happen, and Major League Baseball didn't say anything, all right? I think if this wasn't a playoff, nothing would happen. It'd be like, the whole world's watching. You're talking East Coast, West Coast. You're talking L.A., you're talking New York. Whole world's watching, or two of the larger markets are watching. Everybody's watching this game, okay? The larger markets are watching, so of course, here comes Major League Baseball saying, I'm not supposed to do that. Well, tonight, apparently, they interviewed Joe Torre, and I think the guy on, I think it was TBS or Fox, asked Joe Torre live, and he said, hey, so what is this thing with Utley? And what do you think? And what about all the other slides in the past? And he said something, and I'll paraphrase this, I can't be concerned with what happened in the past. I'm sorry, but what happens in the past dictates what happens in the future. Okay? So you're going to have to go back to that because it sets a precedent. All right? So I'm telling you, it's coming. It is coming. All right? Even if Major League Baseball says, sorry, we're wrong, we're not going to suspend you, or the suspension happens this winter, during the Winter Olympics, during the winter meetings, Major League Baseball winter meetings, they're going to sit down and they're going to gather all their people and they're going to say, let's establish this rule, no contact anymore. It's coming. Mark my word. Mark this day. You see this video? It's going to happen.